Good day. Welcome to Core English for Senior High Schools, Form 3, Lesson 12, Comprehension. Today's topic is answering appreciation questions. Our last lesson in comprehension touched on derivative questions, which required that you deduce information or make an inference from a given text. In this lesson, however, you will be introduced to another type of comprehension question that would require a further skill. The language use of certain passages require that what is termed as literary or stylistic questions are asked in order to ascertain the understanding of the student. Although appreciation questions are the types that look the most straightforward, they are usually analytical in nature and are often used in checking whether or not the student has a good understanding not only of the subject matter but also of the style of language used to carry the message across. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to 1. Identify and explain appreciation questions. 2. Provide appropriate responses to appreciation questions on a given text. What is appreciation question? Appreciation questions are those that demand critical appreciation of the passage. They require critical analysis of figures of speech, used vocabulary, and even grammatical usage in a given text. Appreciation questions test the literary or stylistic characteristics of a given passage. Its objective is to find out whether or not you are able to identify and fully understand these forms of language use. Accordingly, appreciation questions will generally and specifically test the following. 1. Your understanding of stylistic or literary devices in a given passage. For example, the farmer squeezed the hand of the chimpanzee tightly to give him the illusion of superior strength and authority. Question: why was this an illusion? The answer to that is, it was an illusion because the chimpanzee was much stronger than he was, or that the farmer was much weaker than the chimpanzee. 2. The use of language or appropriate vocabulary in a given text. For example, even with his disabled hand, he was quite capable of breaking most of my bones. Pushing his big lips forward, he saluted me with a rising crescendo of hoots, climaxed by a broad winning smile. I hooted back at him with a matching smile. Still squatting, he moved towards me slowly. He raised his hand and peered at the wound with a melancholy expression. I extended my own hand and he rested his swollen fingers in my palm. Question: give a word or phrase that could replace each of the following words or groups of words in the passage. A. A rising crescendo of. B. A matching smile. C. Melancholy. Here are the possible answers. A. A rising crescendo of means an increasing volume of or increasingly noisy. B. Matching smile means corresponding or equal or equivalent smile. C. Melancholy means sad. 3. Grammatical use of words in a passage. For example, now, the chimpanzee was completely free, but he remained motionless. He was much smaller than I am, but much stronger. The question: what are the grammatical terms of the words listed below as used in the context of the text on your screen? 1. Now. 2. Much smaller than. The answers are A. Adverb of time. B. Comparative adjective. Let's turn our attention to answering appreciation questions. It is important that care is taken when responding to appreciation questions. Realize first of all that you are being asked to do an analysis, an interpretation based on special use of language and provide literary meaning beyond just the superficial or indicate the grammatical use of either a word or a group of words in a given text. In doing any of these, you need to 1. Carefully read the passage or text and have a good understanding of it. 2. Know and have a good grasp of the grammatical names of words and their functions as used in context. 3. Have a good knowledge of language devices. 4. Have a good store of vocabulary. So far, we have learned how to identify and provide answers for appreciation questions. Remember that in our previous lesson in English comprehension, we studied the other types of comprehension questions and how to answer them. These are content and derivative questions. In any comprehension passage, you may have to answer all these 3 types of questions. Therefore, you should be able to identify such questions and provide the appropriate answers. Let's now see how the principles we have learned about the various types of comprehension questions are used in practice. Read the following passages on your screen carefully, and for each passage, do the task given. 1. Assess or study the questions. 2. Identify and explain the type of questions. 3. Answer all questions. The passage. 5 decades ago, my classmates lured me into a trap that taught me the lesson of a lifetime. As a class monitor, I was informed that the class had decided not to do the homework given to us by the geography teacher. The decision was based on 3 grounds. First, she had not taught us anything substantial since our arrival in the school. Second, we must let her know that in this all-male institution, a female should not push us around. Also, she seemed forever inaudible when teaching us. So, my classmates mandated me to convey the decision to her. Thus sent, I confronted her with our decision. All she said was, "Noted." I assumed we had won the day. Alas, how wrong I was. When she came to class the following Monday, she demanded the homework. As I stood up to restate our stand, behold, all my mates took out their notebooks and submitted them. I was the odd one out in the class of 35 boys. This act of betrayal left me speechless. Any protest was now out of the question. The teacher led me to the overgrown part of the school field, measured out a large portion, and ordered me to clear it before returning to either the class or the dormitory. I realized I had been stabbed in the back as I heard my mates laughing sarcastically in the class. I bent down with my sharpened cutlass, determined to finish the work within the day and regain my freedom in good time. How wrong I was. Here are some questions on the passage. 1. How did the class betray their monitor? 2. In what ways did the monitor show remorse? 3. When she came to class the following Monday, A. What grammatical name is given to the above expression as it is used in the passage? B. What is its function? 4. I had been stabbed in the back. A. What figure of speech is used in this expression? B. What does it mean? 5. For each of the following words, find another word or phrase which means the same and which can replace it as it is used in the passage. A. Mandated. B. Assumed. C. Betrayal. D. Sarcastically. 6. In your opinion, for which reason did the writer keep away from his mates? Now, let us look at what you have done. What is your assessment of the questions? Can you identify and explain the type of questions they are? Finally, have you correctly answered all the questions? After a good study of the passage, it is evident that question 1 is a referential question, therefore a good example of a derivative question. Question 2 is a factual question because response can be directly adduced from the passage. It is also called a content question. Question 3 is a literary question, therefore a good example of an appreciation question. In question 4, the two sub-questions test your grammatical knowledge and are therefore examples of grammatical questions. They therefore are appreciation questions. Question 5 is also an appreciative question since it deals with finding out the literary device used in the expression. Question 6 is an example of the use of a test of vocabulary and is appreciative. Let's have a look at possible answers. 1. They did the homework which they had decided not to do. 2. He prostrated himself before the teacher. 3a. It is an adverbial clause of time. 3b. It modifies or qualifies the verb demanded. 4a. It is a metaphor. B. It means the monitor had been deceived or betrayed. 5a. Mandated. Another word to replace it is authorized or directed. Asked, instructed, ordered, sent or tasked. B. Another word for assumed or other words that can replace assumed are thought, presumed, supposed, believed, imagined, guessed. C. Betrayal can be replaced by disloyalty, deceit, treachery, duplicity, perfidy, or deception. D. Sarcastically can be replaced by mockingly, wryly, scornfully, derisively. 6. He felt that they had not treated him fairly. Well, I really enjoyed this comprehension lesson, but I can't leave you without summing up what we've done. This lesson has given us a clear and practical understanding of how to identify and handle appreciation questions as well as the other types of comprehension questions. Among other things, we have learned that appreciation questions 1. Demand critical understanding of a given passage. 2. Require critical analysis of figures of speech. 3. Demand explanation of used vocabulary. 4. Require analysis of grammatical usage. 5. Test the literary or stylistic characteristics of a given passage. Well. I wish I could stay on, but I have to leave you for now. Till you come my way next time, this is Mabel Nunefio. Cheerio.